Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, December 3rd, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college basketball, NBA, and NHL games. Look ahead to tonight's and the weekend's games. We'll recap last night's Thursday night football game. Look ahead to the rest of Week 13 Sunday slate. College football championship week, we'll preview and pick those games. MLS playoffs, we'll preview and pick the West and Eastern Conference finals. Golf, news and notes, and best bet and the Fab Five. All right, we'll start with college basketball. We will recap last night's results and look ahead to tonight and the weekend. Drexel over Fairleigh Dickinson, 86-65. Grambling over Jarvis Christian, 71-44. Sacred Heart over Lafayette, 74-67. Towson over LIU, 72-63. James Madison over Eastman, 96-54. Delaware over Delaware State, 59-48. NJIT over St. Elizabeth, 76-43. North Florida over Edward Waters, 103-57. Liberty over Missouri, 66-45. Wright State over Purdue Fort Wayne, 86-73. Cleveland State over Northern Kentucky, 72-58. Detroit over IUPUI, 69-45. Sam Houston over Shriner, 106-46. Northern Colorado over Montana State, 77-75 in overtime. St. Thomas, Minnesota over Crown College, 73-53. TCU over Oral Roberts, 71-63. Mississippi State over Lamar, 75-60. Jacksonville over Charleston Southern, 67-56. Youngstown State over Milwaukee, 70-68. Green Bay over Robert Morris, 70-58. Oakland over UIC, 81-77. North Dakota State over Northland, 114-51. Belmont over Lipscomb, 94-65. Weber State over Northern Arizona, 67-44. Portland State over Idaho State, 63-55. Southern Utah over Eastern Washington, 89-76. Grand Canyon over UTSA, 74-71. St. Mary's over Utah State, 60-58. Drake over Valparaiso, 73-66. Wyoming over Denver, 77-64. Montana over Sacramento State, 65-58. Cal Baptist over Cal Poly, 64-55. UC San Diego over Eastern Michigan, 83-74. And Cal over Oregon State, 73-61. Washington and number 11 Arizona postponed. Now we look ahead to a surprisingly small Friday window in college basketball. 5 o'clock, you have Carver College and NCAA. We can skip that game. And at 6 o'clock on the ACC network, you have Boston College hosting Notre Dame. My projection is Notre Dame by 2.5, and it's 4. Totals 132.5. I'll take the over. 7 o'clock on the Longhorn Network, Texas, Rio Grande, Texas. By projections, 25.5 for Texas, and it is 26.5. Totals 139.5. I'll take another over. Kansas and St. John's. My projection is St. John's by 2, and it is Kansas by 6.5. Oh my God, I love St. John's plus the 6.5. And honestly, I think they might win this game outright. They're plus 235. Actually, I'm going to call for it. They're going to win outright. That game's on Fox Sports 1. SC State and South Florida. My projection is South Florida by 26.75. It's 16.5. And I'm taking USF. Bob Jones Presbyterian. We can skip Colgate Northeastern. My projection is Northeastern 6.25. And it's Colgate 1.5. I'm taking Northeastern plus the 1.5 and on the money line at plus 112. Charleston and Furman. My projection is Furman by 9.25. And Furman is giving 6.5. I'm going to lay the 6.5 with Furman. Coppin State and Cornell. My projection is Cornell 19.75. It's 8.5. I'm going to lay the points with Cornell. St. Peter's and Quinnipiac. My projection is St. Peter's by 9.25. And it is St. Peter's 2.5, total 135.5. I'm going to lay the points with St. Peter's. Rider and Iona. My projection is Iona by 15. And it's 14.5, total is 141. Over and Iona games are a no-brainer for me. Manhattan and Siena. My projection is Manhattan by 1/4. And it's Siena by 2.5. I'm taking Manhattan plus the 2.5. And I'm taking them to win outright at plus 126. Monmouth and Niagara. My projection for this game is Monmouth by 14. And it's only 1.5. Total's 140.5. I'm going to lay the points with Monmouth. Fairfield and Canisius. My projection is Fairfield by 9.25. And it's Canisius by 1.5. I'm thinking Fairfield plus the 1.5 and plus the money line at 104. Rutgers, Illinois. My projection is Illinois by 4.5. And it's this says it's Rutgers at Illinois. I thought it was Illinois at Rutgers. Oh. Then I gotta change this entire projection. So I think I read it incorrectly. I did the math as if Rutgers was home, but I do think that this is going to be a good game, nevertheless. So let's see here. Okay, sorry about that. Projection is Illinois by 10.5. I had to make a change there. And DraftKings has it at 8, so I'm going to lay the 8 with Illinois. 8 o'clock, Bryan at number 15, Houston. My projection is Houston by 24.5. And it is 23.5. Totals 139.5. I'll take the over. Waldorf College, South Dakota, we can skip. New Mexico State and UTEP. My projection is New Mexico State by 6.5, and it's UTEP by 1.5. Totals 136. We're taking New Mexico State plus the 1.5 and minus 104 on the money line. Yellowstone Christian, Utah Valley, we could skip. Pitt, Virginia on the ACC network. My projection is Virginia by a whopping 16.75, and it's 14.5. Total is 114.5. So it's enough to lay it with Virginia, so I'm going to do that. Next up, Big Ten Network, 9 o'clock. Great game. Iowa, number 2, Purdue. Probably the game of the night, even though it's unranked versus number 2. My projection is Purdue by 10. And it is 11.5. Totals 161.5. That is a high total. High. Because it's the first conference game. I just don't see it going over, so I'm going to go under for that. Tulsa, Boise State. My projection is Tulsa by 1.5. It's Boise by 8.5. Tulsa 130.5. I'm taking Tulsa plus 8.5 and plus 340 straight up. Benedictine, Arizona, and Cal State Bakersfield at 10 o'clock, as well as Bethesda, UC Irvine. We can skip both of those games. Pepperdine and UC Santa Barbara. My projection is Santa Barbara by 10.75. And it's 9.5. Totals 137.5. I'll take the over. VMI in Portland. My projection is VMI by 3. It is Portland by 3.5. Totals 143.5. I'm taking VMI plus the points and plus 134 on the money line. I like a lot of dogs today to win outright. In North Dakota, San Jose State. My projection is North Dakota by 2.25, and it's San Jose State by 6.5. I'm taking North Dakota plus 6.5 and plus 225 on the money line. All right, now we'll look ahead to the weekend. 12 o'clock, Fox Sports 1 on Saturday. St. Joe's at number 6, Villanova. ESPN 2, number 18, Memphis at Ole Miss. Fox Sports 2, Nyack College, number 25, Seton Hall. Harvard, UMass, Clemson, Miami on ACC Network. ESPN, Robert Morris, Milwaukee. Oakland, IUPUI. Big Ten Network, Nebraska, Indiana. 12:30 on Fox. Marquette, number 23, Wisconsin. 1 o'clock, CBS, San Diego State at number 24, Michigan. Winthrop, Coastal Carolina. Mount St. Mary's and Loyola, Maryland. Miami of Ohio, Indiana State. Binghamton, BU. Northern Kentucky, Purdue, Fort Wayne. Eastern Washington, Omaha. 2 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, number 13, Tennessee at Colorado. ESPNU, Yale, number 21, Auburn. Tennessee Martin, Western Illinois. Georgia State, Mercer. Bucknell, Hofstra. Alcorn State, Tulane. NC Central, UNC Asheville. Texas hosting Nevada. Tennessee Tech, Evansville. Rhode Island, Providence on CBS Sports Network. Holy Cross, LaSalle, George Washington, Charlotte. Maine, Columbia, ESPN2. NC State hosting Louisville. ACC Network, Wake at Virginia Tech. Northern Illinois at Dayton. 3 o'clock Webster, Southeast Missouri State, we could skip. North Park, Eastern Illinois, Delaware State, Longwood. Jarvis Christian Rice, SO, Edwardsville, Bradley, Gardner Webb, Eastern Carolina. Northwestern State, UL Monroe. Southwestern University, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. William & Mary Davidson, Wright State, Cleveland State. 3:30 St. Fran, PA, Ohio. 4 o'clock SEC Network, Little Rock at number 10, Arkansas. 4 o'clock CBS Sports Network, number 12, BYU, Missouri State. Fox Sports 2, Grambling, number 17, UConn. Montana State, Sacramento State. Army Air Force, Radford, West Virginia. Jackson State, Illinois State. Drexel, Princeton. Fox Sports 1, Loyola, Chicago, DePaul. Campbell, VCU. McNeese, Wyoming. Incarnate Word, Abilene Christian. St. Mary's, Colorado State. ESPNU, Penn Temple. Central Connecticut, New Hampshire. ACC Network, Syracuse, Florida State. Buffalo, St. Bonaventure. 4:30 Maryland Eastern, Lehigh. 5 o'clock Arkansas Pine Bluff, number 4, Baylor. Big Ten Network, Toledo at number 22, Michigan State. UC Merced, UC Davis. Southern Utah, Idaho. Tennessee State, Chicago State. Louisiana Tech, Santa Clara. Central Arkansas, Arkansas State. Wiley, Stephen F. Austin at 5:30. Norfolk, Hampton. American Howard, 6 o'clock Pac-12 Network, number 20, USC at Washington State. Western Carolina and South Carolina Upstate. Vandy, SMU. UAB, St. Louis at 6:30. Wagner, Stony Brook. 7 o'clock Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky. Stetson, FIU. UMass Lowell, Merrimack. Cal State, Northridge. Fresno State. High Point, Alon. Old Dominion, George Mason. Loyola Marymount, Long Beach State. Duquesne, Marshall. Dartmouth, Florida Gulf Coast. Youngstown State, Green Bay. Southern Akron, Lanier, Rhine. East Tennessee State. 8 o'clock ESPN2. Number 16 Alabama. Number 3 Gonzaga. This looks like it's being played in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena where the Kraken play. Calvary, Kansas City. Middle Tennessee, Murray State. Portland State, Weber State. Montana, Northern Colorado. Northern Arizona, Idaho State. Oral Roberts, Houston Baptist. Miss Valley State, Grand Canyon. Pacific, Cal State, Fullerton. 8:30. South Alabama, Jacksonville State. 9 o'clock Fox Sports 1, number 19 Iowa State, Creighton. Southern Miss, Southern Illinois. St. Catherine, Dixie State. 10 o'clock UNLV, San Francisco. And that's it, Sunday. 12 o'clock Big Ten Network, Northwestern Maryland. 1 o'clock Keuka Cornell, Fairfield Niagara. Monmouth Canisius. 2 o'clock Kennesaw State Wofford. Hartford St. Francis Brooklyn. UMBC Delaware. Bethune-Cookman UCF. SEC Network Georgetown South Carolina. ESPNU Minnesota Mississippi State. Richmond Northern Iowa. Sacred Heart Brown. NJT Lafayette North Florida FAU. Detroit and UIC. Denver Texas State. Marist Rider. Quinnipiac Manhattan. Siena St. Peter's. Western Illinois Central Michigan. Valpo Western Michigan. 3 o'clock Pac-12 Network number 5 UCLA in Washington. Defiance Bellarmine Carver College Northern Alabama. Belmont Sanford. Milligan Austin Peay St. Thomas Drake. North Carolina Georgia Tech. The 4 o'clock ESPNU Arizona number 11 Arizona at Oregon State. Cal Lutheran Santa Barbara. Cal Poly San Diego. VMI Seattle. Our Lady North Lamar Northwood Eastern Michigan. Southeast Louisiana Troy at 5. Chattanooga Lipscomb. ESPN2 Xavier Oklahoma State. Pac-12 Network Cal Utah. ESPNU at 6 o'clock Kansas State Wichita State. 7 o'clock Bryant Cincinnati. Fox Sports 1 Fordham St. John's. Pac-12 Network Arizona State Oregon. 7:30 Big Ten Network Ohio State Penn State. And 8 o'clock Charleston Southern and Tarleton. So that's it for college basketball. Now we'll move on to the NBA. We will recap the games from last night, and we'll look ahead to Friday and the rest of the weekend. Bulls over the Knicks 119-115. Raptors over the Bucks 97-93. Grizzlies over the Thunder 152-79. And they won that game by the largest margin in NBA history by a total of 152-79. 73 points, the largest margin of victory in NBA history by the Grizzlies, and that was without Ja Morant. Suns-Pistons, 114-103 as the Suns win their 18th straight game, and the Spurs over the Trailblazers 114-83. Okay, now we look ahead to tonight. 7 o'clock, you have the Heat and the Pacers. My projection for this game is Indiana by 3 3/4 because of all the injuries and such. And it's 5 2, 8.5. My pick for this game is going to be the under. Cavs Wizards, my projection is Washington by 9 3/4. And it's 4 2, 8. I love the Wizards. I'm going to lay it with Washington. 76ers Hawks, my projection. And by the way, that game is a 7:30 ESPN game. I don't know who's calling the game. I would guess Mike Breen and Hubie Brown. It just feels like a game they would do. You know Breen's going to be on one of these games because the Knicks aren't playing. My projection is Hawks 5.5, and it is 1.5 and 2/14. I'm going to lay the 1.5 with the Hawks. The Nets are hosting the Timberwolves. My projection is Brooklyn by 10 1/4, and it's 7.5 and 2/18.5. I'm going to lay it with Brooklyn. 8 o'clock, the Magic and the Rockets. My projection is the Rockets by 5.5, and it's 2.5 and 2/14.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Rockets. 8:30, Pelicans Mavericks. My projection is Mavericks by a whopping 17 to 7.5. I'm going to lay the 7.5 with Dallas. 9 o'clock, Celtics Jazz. My projection is the Jazz by 11 3/4. And it's 8.5. I'm going to lay the 8.5 with the Jazz. 10 o'clock, ESPN Suns Warriors. So a rematch from the game from 3 nights ago, except Golden State's home. My projection is Golden State by 1.5, and it's Golden State by a whopping 6.5. I'm going to take the Suns and the points. I don't think they're going to win the game outright, though. And last but not least, the Clippers and the Lakers. My projection is the Lakers by 6, and it's Lakers by 1. I'm going to lay the 1 here with the Lakers. All right, now we'll look ahead to the weekend. Saturday, 1 o'clock from the Garden, Nuggets Knicks. 8 o'clock, Bulls Nets. Heat Bucks. 8:30, Grizzlies Mavs. Spurs Warriors. 10 o'clock, Celtics Trailblazers. And Clippers Kings. And Sunday, 3:30, Jazz Cavs. 6 o'clock, Hornets Hawks. Wizards Raptors. And 7 o'clock, the Pelicans and the Rockets. Now move on to the NHL. We will recap the games from last night, and we look ahead to tonight and the rest of the weekend. Avalanche over the Canadiens 4-1, Lightning over the Blues 4-2, Panthers over the Sabres 7-4, Blackhawks over the Capitals 4-3 in a shootout, Sens over the Hurricanes 3-2, Sharks over the Islanders 2-1 in overtime on a game winner by Erik Karlsson, Bruins over the Predators 2-0, Wild over the Devils 5-2, Stars over the Blue Jackets 3-2, and the Flames over the Kings 3-2. Now we look ahead to today. 7 o'clock, you have the Sharks and the Rangers from the Garden. The Rangers are pretty good favorites here. Minus 210, San Jose plus 172, over under 5.5. Overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Sharks plus 1.5 is minus 152. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 122. I'm going to go over 5.5. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. 8 o'clock, the Devils and the Jets. My Devils are plus 162. The Jets are minus 196, over under 6. Overs minus 102, unders minus 120. Devils plus 1.5 is minus 160. Jets minus 1.5 is plus 130. For this game, I'm going to go with the Jets puck line minus 1.5 and plus 130. 9:30, Golden Knights Coyotes. Vegas minus 230, Arizona plus 188, over under 6, minus 110 each way. Vegas -1.5 is +112. Coyotes +1.5 is -138. I'm going to lay the puck line with Vegas -1.5 is +112. 10 o'clock, the Flames and the Ducks. The Flames are -132. The Ducks are +112. Over under 5.5. Overs -114. Unders -106. Calgary -1.5 is +186. Ducks +1.5 is -235. I'm going to take the Ducks +112 as a home dog, as they've been my baby so far pretty much this season whenever they're a dog. They're just easy to bet on, easy to root for, and I think they're going to win this game outright against the Flames tonight. And the Oilers and the Kraken. The Oilers are -134. The Kraken are +112. Over under 6.5. Overs -105. Unders -115. Edmonton -1.5 is +180. Kraken +1.5 is -235. Seattle's been playing a little better lately, so I'm going to take a chance at the money line with them at +112 at home against Connor McDavid and the Oilers. Saturday, 1 o'clock, NHL Network, Blues Panthers, 7 o'clock, Lightning Bruins, Avs Sens, Isles Red Wings, Blue Jackets Caps, Canadiens Preds, Leafs Wild, 7:30, Sabres Hurricanes, 8 o'clock, Blackhawks Rangers. That's a late time for a Ranger home game. And I just realized that the Knicks play at 1 o'clock, so that's why the Ranger game's late, because the Knicks are at 1, the Rangers are at 8. So this is the first time all season we're going to have both play on the same day at home. And 10 o'clock, the Pens and the Canucks. Sunday, 6 o'clock, Lightning Flyers, Sharks Blue Jackets, Blackhawks Islanders at 7:30, 8 o'clock, Maple Leafs Jets, Kings Oilers, and 10 o'clock you have the Flames against the Golden Knights. That's going to be a great game to watch on Sunday night. All right, now we'll recap last night's Thursday night football game, and we'll do the picks for the weekend. The Cowboys defeat the Saints 27-17 as they go to 8-4 on the season, and New Orleans drops their 5th straight game, and they are now, I want to say 5-6 or 5-7, if I'm not mistaken. The Saints, yes, 5-7. Alrighty, we look ahead to Sunday. 1 o'clock on Fox, you have the Buccaneers and the Falcons. My projection here is Bucs by 4, total 50-05. And meanwhile, it is Bucs 10.5, total 50.5. I'm going to take Atlanta in this spot. The Bucs have a ton of injuries right now. And I just think that Atlanta, in a division home game, will play well. But I don't know if it's well enough to win. Next up, the Cardinals and the Bears on Fox. My projection is Cardinals 7, total 43. Meanwhile, it is 7-43.5. I have no choice but to take a slight under as my pick for this game. Next up, the Chargers and the Bengals on CBS. This is actually a decent game. My projection is Bengals 5, total 50. Meanwhile, it's 3 and 50.5. I'm going to lay to 3 with the Cincinnati Bengals. I just think that this is a good spot for them at home. CBS Vikings Lions. My projection is Vikings 6, total 46-35. Meanwhile, it's 7 and 46.5. I'm going to go slight Lions for my play for this game. On Fox, Giants, Dolphins, the status of Daniel Jones in the air. If he plays, I have Dolphins 4. If he doesn't play, it's Dolphins 8. My total projection is 42-1. Meanwhile, it's 4.5 and 40.5. right now, my pick is going to be a slight over. I think Miami's found a little something offensively. But if Daniel Jones plays, this is, to me, a good over in terms of the slightest way. Next up, on CBS, the Eagles at the Jets. My projection is the Eagles by a half, total of 48-3. Meanwhile, it is Eagles by 7, total of 45.5. I love the Jets. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I really like the Jets. This feels like a game the Jets are going to be competitive, and then there's a chance they could potentially win this game outright. So I'm going to take the Jets. The Colts and the Texans on CBS. Projection is Colts by 4, total 46-65. Meanwhile, it's 10 and 45.5. I'm going to take the Texans in the points in the division game here. I just think that it's going to be a better game than people think. 4 o'clock window now on Fox, Washington football team and the Raiders. My projection is the Raiders by 10 till 48-35. Meanwhile, it's 1 after 49.5. Oh my God, the Raiders are like the lock of the week right now. Oh my God. Let me just check the injury report here because I just think that's crazy that it's that low. DeSean Jackson misses practice, calf injury. Josh Jacobs potentially out. But even so, let's make sure Darren Waller is playing and is healthy. Yeah, so the Raiders could miss Jackson, Waller, and Jacobs in that game. So if you had to, remove those guys from that game, so that's 1 half and half. So even that would go down to 8 if those guys were to miss the game. But I still love Vegas in this spot. The Jaguars and the Rams on Fox. My projection is the Rams by 12.5, total 46.25. Meanwhile, this is a Fox game. Or CBS game. 13 and 48. So my pick for here is the slight under. And then I have a slight edge on the Jags. And Ravens Steelers, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call. Game of the week. Could be Big Ben's last game against the Ravens. At home. And my projection here is Ravens 3, total 45-2. It's 4.5 and 44. And that's accounting for the potential loss of TJ Watt in this spot. I'm going to take slight edge here on the Steelers for my pick here. And I also have a slight edge on the over. 49ers Seahawks, my projection is 49ers by 1, total 43-75. Meanwhile, it is 49ers by 3.5, total 45.5. So I almost have a bigger edge on the under. But I do like the Seahawks plus the points in the spot. I think they have a good chance to win the game outright. And last but not least, Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth on the call. Broncos, Chiefs. My projection is the Chiefs by 5, total 43-95. Meanwhile, it's 9.5 and 47. Respectable edge on the under, and a really nice edge on Denver. So I have a 4.5 point edge on Denver and a little less than 4 point edge on the under. So the pick here is going to be the Broncos. And then the second choice would be the under. All right, now we're going to do college football championship weekend picks. Not many games, obviously. And it just is a good thing because then you don't have to do all this time on college football like we would do every Friday show. So there's only 11 games, 2 tonight, 9 tomorrow. All right, first up, Western Kentucky and UTSA. My projection for this game is UTSA by 12, total 63-3. This game is being played at UTSA. And this is... Why isn't this line here? That's so weird. That FanDuel didn't have the line. Let me see if DraftKings does, potentially. And they do. They have Western Kentucky as a 3.5 point favorite. That's ridiculous. Total 72.5. I love UTSA plus the points, and I am taking the plus 140 straight up. Abso-freaking-lutely. And I like the under as well. Next up from Allegiant Stadium, Oregon and Utah. My projection for this game is Utah by 3, total 58-8. You just make sure that's right. It just doesn't feel right to me. It should be Oregon by 3. I put the 3 by the wrong team. Oops. So, Oregon by 3, total 58-8. Meanwhile, it's Utah 2.5, total 57.5. I think this is a redemption spot for Oregon. Give me the points. And I think they're going to win the game outright. And in terms of a second pick, it's a slight edge to the over, believe it or not. All right, Saturday, 12 o'clock on Fox from AT&T Stadium. Baylor, Oklahoma State. My projection for this game is Oklahoma State by 3, total 50.1. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 46.5. So the podcast play here is going to be the over, and I also have an edge on Baylor. ESPN, Kent State, Northern Illinois from Ford Field. My projection is Northern by 3, total 64.9. And it is Kent by 3.5, total 74.5. Podcast player is going to be the under, and I also like Northern Illinois plus the points and plus 140 on the money line. Next up, 3 o'clock on Fox, Utah State at number 19. San Diego State, the Mountain West Championship game. My projection is San Diego State by 9, total 51-2. Meanwhile, it's 6.5 and 49.5. I'm going to lay the points here with San Diego State. And I also have a slight edge on the over. 3:30 on ESPN, App State in Louisiana. My projection here is Louisiana by 6, total 53-2. Meanwhile, it's App State by 2.5, total 53.5. Oh my God. Beware the dogs, everyone. I'm taking Louisiana, Lafayette here. And the points, and plus 116 on the money line. And I have the slightest edge on the under. Next up, 3:30 or 4 o'clock on CBS, number 1 Georgia, number 3 Alabama, game of the year. My projection is Georgia by 3, total 55.4. Meanwhile, 6.5 and 49.5. I love Alabama and I love the over. I don't know if Alabama's going to win the game outright. I think they have a chance because they're a dog and Saban and everything. But my play here is going to be the over, and I also like Alabama. So the over is the podcast play. 4 o'clock on ABC, number 21 Houston and number 4 Cincinnati. My projection is Cincinnati by 6, total 58.05. Meanwhile, it's 10.5 and 52.5. Another over pick for me here. I just think that these teams are going to score consistently. And I also think that Houston is going to cover the point spread. 8 o'clock on Fox from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Number 2 Michigan, number 13 Iowa. My projection is Michigan by 3, total 46.3. Meanwhile, it's 10.5 and 43.5. Oh my God, do I love Iowa in this spot. I think that they're going to get up for this game. I do not certainly think that they're going to win. But I do think it'll be close, and I also like the over too. 8 o'clock on ABC, Pitt and Wake. In the ACC Championship game, I project to pick them in 71.5. Meanwhile, it's Pitt by 2.5. Total 71.5. So the total is like spot on. But I have no choice but to take Wake Forest in the points, and I actually think that Wake Forest in their offense will potentially prevail. But I'm going to say it wins, but barely. But I'm going to take Wake Forest as the podcast play. And last but not least, makeup game, USC Cal. My projections: Cal 2.5, total 51.2. Meanwhile, it is Cal by 4.5, total 57.5. I'm going to take the under. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game with a lot of defense and special teams, and I think that USC is going to cover the point spread. Okay, now I'll move on to golf. All right. Yeah, we'll do golf. I was going to do another segment, but we'll hold off. Now I'm going to go over the current leaderboard for the the Hero World Challenge. All right. Tied for first with 6 under, Daniel Berger, Abraham Ancer, Rory McIlroy. Tied for fourth with 5 under, Webb Simpson, Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka. Tied for seventh with 4 under, Tony Finau, Patrick Reed, Victor Hovland, Colin Morikawa. Tied for 11th with 3 under, Tyrrell Hatton, Bryson DeChambeau. 13th with 2 under, Xander Schauffele. 14th with 1 under, Matt Fitzpatrick, Sam Burns, Scotty Scheffler, Justin Rose, Jordan Spieth. 19th at even is Henrik Stenson, and 20th at 3 over, Harris English. All right, now I'm going to do Major League Soccer, the playoffs. The conference finals are this weekend, so I'll preview and pick each game. Wednesday is the Western Final. I actually have time to do the gambling stuff on here if they have it. And they do. So Saturday, 6:30, Portland and Salt Lake. Portland's minus 120, Salt Lake plus 260, draw plus 260. Obviously, Salt Lake has been a surprise team. And Portland found themselves here with the run on their own. But honestly, I think this could be another draw, plus 260. I think that Portland will win, but I think it'll come down to kicks. And then the Eastern Conference Final on Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock on ABC, Philadelphia and NYCFC from Philly. Philly's plus 130, New York's plus 190, draw plus 220. Philly's the 2 seed, NYCFC's the 4. These two teams have serious potential. I think New York has better scoring than Philly. And I believe that New York has an excellent chance to win this game. But I think Philly's better. So for fun, I'm going to go with another tie plus 220. All right, now I'm going to do news and notes for today. There's some things that I would like to get to. So the breaking news this morning is that Notre Dame officially names defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman as its new head coach. A big part of Brian Kelly's staff over the last couple of years. And Freeman is somebody that wanted to go to LSU with Brian Kelly, but ultimately he stuck around and now he's the new head coach at Notre Dame. The College Football Player of the Year finalists announced Bryce Young, Aiden Hutchinson, who else is on here? The Michigan State running back made it. That's Kenneth Walker. Georgia tight end Jordan Davis, and in Pitt quarterback Kenny Pickett. Those were the other two among the other three that I had mentioned. Nebraska's Adrian Martinez to transfer. I thought that was something that was going to be played the last couple of years because he hasn't lived up to hype, so maybe a new setting will help him. We talked about the Memphis's win over OKC earlier. So Kyler hopes they can be back in the lineup for the game against the Bears, and same for DeAndre Hopkins. We will see about that. LeBron James cleared to play Friday against the Clippers after multiple negative tests. That's great news for LeBron. Zion's rehab slightly delayed as he has soreness in his injured right foot, but the team is optimistic that it's not serious. Antonio Brown suspended 3 games for misrepresenting vaccination status. That's crazy. The Buffalo Sabres acquire Malcolm Subban from the Chicago Blackhawks for future considerations. And some non-sports news. New York has had its first 5 cases of the Omicron virus, both in NYC and Suffolk County. As Hochul says, we're not having shutdowns. So that's a good sign. And de Blasio spoke about the NYC visitor having Omicron. We should assume that there's a community of spread with the variant. Andrew Cuomo being investigated for by feds over sex harassment accusations. So this is going to go a while, and I think he's going to potentially get in more trouble. And Gabby Petito's launches, her family launched a Twitter account to help him find missing people, which is really, really cool. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. My best bet of the day, I'm going to ride with the team that's done so good to me, to yours truly, this season in the NBA. For my best bet, I'm going to go with the Wizards minus 4.5 against the Wiz. I'm going to lay a half unit or a full unit on the Wiz minus 4.5 against the Cavs. All right, quickly, I'm going to do Fab 5. I'm going to start with college football because that is sooner. The first of the Fab 5, I'm going to take a game that really just stood out. And I'm going to take Louisiana plus the 2.5 at minus 106. And then I'm going to take them to win outright as well. I'm going to go over 49.5 in Georgia, Alabama as my second of the Fab 5. I'm going to take Iowa getting the 10.5 against Michigan. I'm going to go with the over 52.5 in Houston, Cincinnati. And the last of the Fab 5, I'm going to go with I really think the total is very high in the MAC game, so I'm going to go under 74.5 in Kent State and Northern Illinois. Moneyline pick of the week. We are going to take the Northern Illinois money line plus 140 half unit to knock off Kent State. And then the NFL Fab 5, a little bit tougher than usual. I'm going to take a lot of dogs this week, and some of these teams are really bad. I'm going to take the Falcons plus the 10.5 against the Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Jets plus the 7 against the Eagles. I'm going to lay the 1.5 with Vegas against the football team. I'm going to take Seattle plus the 3.5 at home against San Francisco. And I'm going to take the Monday night game as one of the Fab 5 picks. You got to stay tuned for that. All right, so there you have it for today's show. I'll be back on Monday recapping everything from the weekend, and we'll look ahead to everything going on Monday as well. Hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone.